see. Hello, guys. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Let me see. Oh my God, this is such fucking bullshit. 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 All right, now it's working. Voila. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Meetings after meetings, meetings after fucking meetings. This is fucking bullshit. Let me share this link with other people, man. Sometimes I introduce fucking employees. Let me share this meeting with other people so other people can use this. I don't know how many people are actually watching this. Even if nobody does, we'll just get started with the questions. Meetings. All right. Oh my goodness. This is so sad, but it's okay. We'll do with whatever we got. Let's see. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to get started with the interview questions. Let's see. Can you hear me now? Hopefully you guys can hear me now. I think you guys can hear me now. If you can hear me now, just write it in the chat. If you cannot hear me also, just write it in the chat. But we'll get started now. We have 3 people watching. Earlier we had 13 people. I wish we get 13 people back, but it is what it is. Yes, we can hear you. Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much. I can hear you. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. All right, so we'll get started with some interview questions. These interview questions were asked in a Capital One Bank interview. And the Capital One Bank interview was not exactly a Scrum Master role, but it was a mix of a Scrum Master and a release train engineer role. And these interview questions were passed on to me by a friend. And so I'm going to ask these interview questions to you, and we will go one by one. So the first interview question that was asked is that, how have you built a cross-functional team? And we will do the interview questions. We'll also cover the points where, how do you get a Scrum Master job if you're just starting out, and how do you do that, and how you kind of go about it in the cheapest way possible. Because when we are starting out in our careers, we don't have $10,000, $20,000 to spend on training and things like that. We are blue collar workers and things like that. And I'll show you the way that you can do it in a cheap way, but it won't be easy. All right. So the first question that got asked in this interview was, can HR? Yes. I mean, okay. How have you built a cross-functional team? So we touched these questions a lot in our classes, but we'll touch it again over here for the people that are new and the people that are just joining in. How have you built a cross-functional team? So basically, what is a cross-functional team? First of all, what is a cross-functional team? What do we understand by a cross-functional team? What is the meaning of a cross-functional team, right? So what a cross-functional team is a team with no single point of failure, right? That's a cross-functional team. A team which has no single point of failure, a team that doesn't have one person, like, for example, let me give you a simple example. Nowadays, what's happening is that the role of a product owner, right, when they are hiring for Scrum Master role, they're asking a lot of questions related to the role of a product owner. And you might ask, why are they doing that? They're hiring a Scrum Master, right? Why do they need to ask questions about the role of a product owner? Why do they need to do that? The reason is because what a lot of companies, especially in this market where there's a lot of squeezing going on, there's a lot of budget cuts going on, a lot of people are getting laid off and things like that. What a lot of companies are realizing is that what will happen if we integrate these two roles, number one. Number two is that the role of a product owner can sometimes be a bottleneck. This role and the skills of a product owner role sometimes can be very limited and sometimes are only limited to the role of a product owner. So what happens if the product owner role leaves? That's a single point of failure. To avoid that single point of failure, what companies are now doing is that they are asking questions from Scrum Masters that are relevant for a product owner role, right? So that's why you will see a lot of questions being asked on estimation, a lot of questions being asked on, story point exercises, and a lot of questions being asked on user story creation from Scrum Master interviews. And not only that, what I'm also seeing now more recently is that they are even asking questions of a delivery manager from a Scrum Master. So now they want the Scrum Master to have multiple skills in their back. They don't want the Scrum Master to just be a normal Scrum Master. They want the Scrum Master to be a product owner. They want the Scrum Master to be a delivery manager. They want the whole cycle. They want the Scrum Master to have the knowledge of the whole cycle, basically, and that's when the Scrum Master has chances of getting hired, right? That's what's going on right now in this market. So the reason I bring this example up is, how does it relate to cross-functional team? The reason it relates to cross-functional team is because Agile is not very old. I mean, it's a couple of years old. It's 7, 8 years old, but it's not still very new. If you look at a broader scale in the companies and the organization, it's still very new in implementation. I mean, it's still very hard to find companies that are 100% Agile, right? It's still very new if you look at the implementation on a broader scale, right? So what happens with Agile is that the goal is to build a cross-functional team, right? There is a developer has to know testing, a tester has to know development. I mean, there is no way that there is one skill that only one person knows. Every person has to know every skill, so that if one person leaves, we can manage with the other people. That's a cross-functional team. Now, we were doing this with teams. Now the companies are realizing, if we are doing this with the teams, why not do it with the Scrum Master role and a product owner role? That's one reason. The other reason is that the role of a Scrum Master, it's something that the companies are realizing that they might not need, or that it might not be necessary in many organizations. So what they're thinking is that if we integrate the two roles, it can be more beneficial, more return on their money, right? So those are the things that they are. So this is basically, if you want to look at it, that it's basically the next level of being cross-functional. There is one level of being cross-functional where they were building a team where everyone in the team is cross-functional, where the whole team is cross-functional, right? Now the next level is, why not make these guys cross-functional, right? So that's why all these questions are getting asked from Scrum Masters, because they don't want the Scrum Master to know technical knowledge, but they want the Scrum Masters to know all around knowledge of being a product owner, of being a delivery manager, and all these things, right? So that's one of the main reasons that all these questions that are getting asked in interviews, delivery manager question, product owner questions in the Scrum Master interviews, are now showing up, because the market has changed a lot, and it's getting harder and harder for new people who just only know Scrum Master skills to land Scrum Master jobs, right? That's why all these things are happening, because budget cuts and money is getting scarce. Now, how have you built a cross-functional team in the past? That was the question that was asked from this person, right? From this girl. What she said is that, in her past, what she did to build cross-functional team is that, during the retrospective, they came together and they, brought together the discussions on how we can build a cross-functional team, and the team came up with solutions and things like that. Then they asked her, what were the solutions? What were some of the solutions that you actually saw through? Because when you are discussing something in the retrospective that you are going to improve in your team, as a Scrum Master, it is kind of your responsibility to hold the people accountable so that those solutions get implemented in the team, the improvements that you discussed, right? Are we on the same page here, right? So they asked her, so what were the solutions that you implemented? As a Scrum Master, if you're taking things from the retrospective, you're kind of accountable to make sure those things get implemented by the right people. So what were those things that got implemented? And there she got confused. She couldn't answer. Now, if anybody watching can tell me, the first thing she said is, she brought it up in the retrospective. She brought the team around it. How can we build a cross-functional team? How can we reduce single point of failure? How can we reduce bottlenecks for our team? The team came together. They came up with a solution. Once they came up with a solution, then she helped implement the solutions in the team. But what were those solutions? What are some of the things that can help you as a Scrum Master? What are some of the things that can help you as a Scrum Master build a cross-functional team? Write it in the chat if you know the answer. If you don't know the answer, we'll give a 20-second pause and we'll give the answers here. Write it in the chat if you know the answers. What are some of the things that you do as a Scrum Master to build a cross-functional team? Anybody in the chat? Anybody? Give me some suggestions. What are some of the things that you do as a Scrum Master to build a cross-functional team? Number one, or you help implement as a Scrum Master to kind of build a cross-functional team. Give me something. Anything? No? Okay. The two exercises that you use to build a cross-functional team are: one exercise is encourage better communication and collaboration among members of your team, collaborate effectively. Think. Billy Kisayudali. I think this is Bola. Bola, think, man. Bola, you got to do better than that. George Chinda says, encourage better communication and collab. Think, guys, think. Give me a specific word that I'm looking for. There are two type of exercises that we do in our team, and I taught this in the mentorship group as well. We play a lot of specific peer-to-peer skills training. Very good. QP, you are a star. QP says peer-to-peer skills training. That's a correct answer. But now, what is that called? What is that name of the exercise that's called peer-to-peer skills training? What is the name of that exercise? Give me the name of that exercise. What is the name of that exercise called that's called peer-to-peer skills training? So it's called pair programming exercise. Basically, you as a Scrum Master, it is your, yes, exactly, Bola, very good. Now you got it. Basically, you as a Scrum Master, it is your responsibility to make sure that the team, when they come together, they discuss that they are going to do pair program exercises and hackathons. Hackathon is the word that they use. So pair program exercises and hackathons. It is your responsibility that during the sprint planning session, you spare some capacity, maybe on the last day of the sprint, maybe on the last 2 days of the sprint, depending on your team, right? Maybe on the last day of the sprint, to save the last Friday of the sprint, to have only pair programming exercises and to have a cross-functional team building exercises like hackathons. In SAFe, if you go towards SAFe, there is an iteration. There is a whole innovation iteration that that they do there, where they just focus on improving the team, and raising the skills and reducing the bottlenecks, and making the whole team better and making the whole train better. In SAFe, they have a whole sprint blocked out for that kind of thing. But here, what we are looking for, the answer is cross-functional team is pair programming, like Bola mentioned, and hackathons. So we do hackathons and we do pair programming exercises to reduce the gaps in skills that might stop us from building a cross-functional team, right? So Sangeeta says, first of the collaboration, provide training and support. Yeah, provide training and support by doing these exercises. Peter Pitan says, one, identify skills of teams, collaboration with teams, pair programming sessions, hackathons. I think he means hackathons. Yeah. So yeah, that's true, Peter. That's a correct answer. So now let's do that. This is Tola. Oh, this is Tola. Okay. Yeah. So you guys understand now, right? You spare some time out of your sprint to kind of do these exercises. So spare some time out of every sprint to do these exercises. Okay. So that's how you build a cross-functional team. The second thing, it just cracked me up. This is Tola. It's so funny. I thought this is Bola, but the Bola is the other girl. Okay. That's sweet. Okay. So now the other thing is that the other question that was asked from this girl is that, how do you foster an environment of high performance? Now, this is where this girl got confused, because as a Scrum Master, how do you foster an environment of high performance? What do you do specifically that helps you foster an environment of high performance? First of all, what is high performance? In terms of a Scrum Master, high performance is basically a team that is mature, least amount of conflict, collaborates together very well, works together very well, and is able to build a great product for the business in the shortest amount of time and deliver maximum value with the least amount of friction within the team, and external friction as well, like something coming from the stakeholders and things like that. A team that has a solid process established and that has a solid maturity level established by working with each other for a certain amount of time, that team is very high performing team, right? So that's a very high performing team. Pair programming and what, please? Hackathons. Let me write it in the chat for everybody. Okay. Hackathons. Hackathon exercises. So basically what happens in hackathons is, in my previous career, I was a hacker. I used to do penetration testing and things like that. So what happens in hackathons is basically you have to catch a flag. You have certain coding things that you have to do, and you have to catch a flag which is hidden in kind of like the central root system, and you have to get to the root system to get the flag. It's also called if you do it as a competition, it's called bug bounty and things like that. But that's a different cybersecurity thing that we can get into. But hackathons are the exercises that you do to kind of bolster your knowledge of Python or some other skills that you use to get to the flag, right? Now, how do you foster an environment of high performance? That's the question. High performance, as I explained, high performance is when the team collaborates together very well, they are mature, they work towards common problems in a very informative way with the least amount of friction, they build a great product for the business in the shortest amount of time, right? That's what a high performing team is. Now, how do you foster an environment of high performance? What this girl answered is that, I foster an environment of high performance by doing the retrospective, by making sure that having one-on-one with the team members, making sure that the team members understand, what we are trying to do and things like that. Those are some of the things that she mentioned. Now, what is the right answer? So one of the things I mentioned in my interview group as well, one of the things that, whenever you are confused about a question in Scrum, right? Whenever you are confused about a question in a Scrum Master interview, always refer back to the basics. What do I mean by always refer back to the basics, right? What do I mean by that? It's easy to say always refer back to the basics, but what do I mean by always refer back to the basics, right? Always go to the Scrum ceremonies. Whenever they are asking you questions, how did you do this in your team? I did this with the leverage of the Scrum empirical process. I used the Scrum empirical process. I implemented the Scrum empirical process and the principles and the values. Yes, of course, Amy. I used that. I leveraged that to build a high performance environment. Now, for example, they are asking, how did you build a high performance? Instead of getting confused, what she had to do was she could say that, for my team, I leveraged the Scrum empirical process, the Scrum ceremonies. I facilitated the Scrum ceremonies. I made sure that the Scrum ceremonies were facilitated properly to remove all the gaps and to make sure that we have a high performing team using all the Scrum principles and all the Scrum, empirical process values that we have. Implementing those properly, I was able to build a high performing team. Whenever you are confused about any questions, go back to the Scrum basics, which is the Scrum ceremonies, and leveraging and implementing the Scrum ceremonies within the teams to kind of bring the value out of the teams, right? So, in my experience, what I did was to build a high-performing team, I used the leverage of the Scrum empirical process and the facilitation of the Scrum ceremonies in using the Scrum principles and the values in such a way that, everything about the Scrum process, the Scrum pillars, everything, okay, the 5 pillars, Scrum, everything. So use those things to bring the value out of the team, to build a mature team. And how do you build a mature team? Is by making sure that during the ceremonies, the team is participating. It's like a what do you call that? Like a self-performing team, right? Basically, during the sprint planning session, nobody is cherry picking the stories. That the team members are picking their own work that they're supposed to do. Right? When they pick their own work, they feel more motivated to complete the work. They feel more involved in the process, right? During the estimation exercise, making sure that everybody's speaking, everybody's present in the backlog refinement session, and making sure that the estimation exercise, we are using story points and proper collaboration is happening, and everybody's talking. During the retrospective, making sure that everybody's present and everybody's sharing their opinion, and everybody's comfortable sharing their opinions. Doing those hackathons, this pair programming exercise, all these things. You leverage all these things to build a better, mature, and more efficient team. That's your role as a leader. That's your role as a Scrum Master, right? So how do you foster an environment of high performance? You foster an environment of high performance by using all that Scrum has to offer to you, the ceremonies, the pillars, everything that Scrum has to offer to you, and implementing it as a Scrum Master and facilitating those meetings and making sure those meetings happen, and making sure that, the team sees value in those meetings. Not only do you have to facilitate those, but the team has to see value in those as well. That's how you foster an environment of high performance, right? I make sure that the process goes smooth, and with the help of the process, leveraging the process, I encourage my team and I encourage an environment of high performance among my teams. Have to have a score. So customer happiness is also one of the metrics. How happy are the customer with the product you are building? That's also, that also you can use as a metric. Communicating collaboration, by doing this will avoid conflicts and bring about healthy and high performing team. Those are things you can do, right? You're using the leverage of the Scrum empirical process, right? And those are some of the things you can do. So now the next question that got asked in this interview is that, how have you made sure that your team has a continuous workflow, right? How do you make sure that your team has a continuous workflow? Now, is this really a Scrum question? Which part of that the process is related to a continuous workflow? Is it Scrum or is it Kanban? I think it's more of a Kanban question, right? How do you make sure that your team has a continuous workflow? Basically, what they're trying to understand is that, in this question, the girl got confused, right? She wasn't able to answer. She was saying that, how I maintain a continuous workflow is by making sure I work with the product owner and, kind of helping the team with that, right? So the right answer for this was that how do you maintain, in my understanding, the how do you maintain a continuous workflow is by making sure working with the product owner. She mentioned the part about the product owner correctly, but she didn't go any further. How I would answer is that making sure by working with the product owner to kind of have a healthy backlog. What is a healthy backlog? What is a healthy backlog? A healthy backlog is basically when you have a already refined and prioritized and ordered and estimated user stories laid out on a roadmap for our next 2-3 sprints, right? That is how you can maintain a healthy workflow, by maintaining a healthy backlog and working with the product owner to have those prioritized, those ordered, those ready, and those refined and those estimated stories to be ready to be worked on for the next 3-4 sprints, right? Also, if you got confused in this question, what I would do in this question is that, how I maintain a continuous workflow is, as I said, go back to the Scrum empirical process. How I maintain a continuous workflow is by leveraging a power of the Scrum empirical process. Anytime you get confused in any Scrum interview questions where you are not able to assess the how to answer that, go back to the basics. I was able to maintain a healthy workflow by using the power of the Scrum empirical process, right? By using the power of the Scrum ceremonies, by making sure that we have a proper sprint planning session, which I facilitated by me, by making sure that we have a proper backlog refinement session, which is not part of the Scrum ceremonies, but it is part of the process, right? By making sure that we have a backlog refinement session, working with the product owner to make sure that we have a clearly defined, ready backlog, healthy backlog with user stories that have PORE, prioritized, order, refined, and estimated user stories for the next 2-3 sprints that are already attached to an epic, the parent element, and that are laid out on a roadmap to kind of understand what we are working towards, and then having a proper sprint goal. Also, making sure that the team understands what we are working towards in every sprint. But by having a healthy backlog and by making sure that we always have a healthy backlog, I was able to, make sure that we were able to build a continuous workflow. Now, so as I said, go back to the basics. The basics are the Scrum empirical process. As long as you understand the Scrum empirical process, you're good to go. So anytime you get confused in an interview, use the power of the Scrum empirical process. Okay. Hackathons. Thank you. Principles of Scrum Guide also encourage being transparent by communicating, collaboration by doing this. Yeah. Kanban. Yes, updating the board and keeping track. Yes, exactly. That's a Kanban board right there. If you see behind me, that's a Kanban board. To do, in progress, in staging, and done. So basically, Kanban is used where there is a fixed amount of work that needs to come every sprint. For example, if I'm building a new product, if I'm building a new, let's say a software, I will not use Kanban. I will use Scrum. The reason I will use Scrum is because there is a lot of inspection and adaptation that I need to do, right? When I'm building a new product, I need to kind of like, in the first sprint, I need to assess what my velocity will be. I need to see that, how much work we can do, what kind of work we can do, what are the skill gaps we have. There is a lot of inspection and adaptation that needs to happen. Plus my backlog, it needs a lot of collaboration with the stakeholder, which is me. Let's say I'm the business owner. I come to a technical team, right? Like the technical team on my project that's working on edutech.com on our project in my mentorship. So what happens is that as a business owner, they need to have a lot of back and forth with me. What needs to be built? Whatever we build, is it good? Is it not good? So that is the process of inspection and adaptation. That's why we need Scrum. Scrum is basically inspection and adaptation. But when there is a fixed amount of workflow, let's say, for example, I gave this example before also. Let's say, for example, you're working in, for example, one of these companies like a cybersecurity help desk team, where you have a fixed amount of backlog that comes in every week. You have a fixed amount of tickets that come in every week. Like, for example, this week 15 people are going to call. Next week 15 people are going to call to reset their password. Next week 15 people are going to call to reset their password. That's a certain amount of workflow that comes in every week. There is no change in the workflow that comes in every week. It's a stable workflow. Ticket comes in, you assess the ticket, you resolve the ticket. Ticket comes in, you assess the ticket, every week the same amount of workflow. There is no, inspection needed. There is no ceremonies needed to go to the stakeholder. Nothing like that is needed. Where there is a smooth amount of workflow that comes in every week, there is a stable workflow, no change in the workflow. That's where you use Kanban. But when there is a lot of inspection and adaptation, like when you're building a new product or when you're giving a service, there you use Scrum. Service-based companies, product-based companies, they use a lot of Scrum because they need a lot of inspection and adaptation. That makes sense to everybody. Where there is a fixed amount of workflow every week, nothing changes, no inspection adaptation needed, no going back and forth needed, no iterations needed, no nothing, do a daily Scrum call and we're done with it. There you can use Kanban, right? But for new teams, if you are building a new thing, you will always use Scrum because there is a lot of inspection and adaptation that's needed there. Okay, so how I maintain company continuous workflow. Okay, Chetan, this is what it is. Okay, now the next question that she got asked is, how have you done coaching for your team in the past, leading them from waterfall to agile? How have you done coaching for your team in the past? So here she answered that in one of her teams, she was working with a waterfall team, and she was able to lead the team from waterfall to agile. How she was able to lead the team from waterfall to agile is by, she said, that's what she said. She said that she was able to collaborate, she was able to work together, she was able to maintain transparency using the Scrum process and things like that, right? But how do you coach your team from waterfall to agile? First of all, how I will answer this question is that, so for example, let's say I'm asked this question, how have you done coaching for your team in the past? First of all, in one of my projects, what I did was that the team was working in a very waterfall mindset. They were going through a transition phase. They were going from a transition phase from waterfall to agile, right? And before I say that, this question can be asked in many different ways. By exposing that, this question can be asked in many different ways. How have you made your team better? What are some of the challenges you have faced in your career? What is the biggest challenge you have faced in your career? These are all the ways this question can be asked, and it all comes back to the same answer, which is, in my experience, I was working with a team that was going through a transition phase. They were transitioning from waterfall to agile, and when they were transitioning from waterfall to agile, I joined the team kind of in the middle. And what I did in my role as a Scrum Master was I basically served as a catalyst to help the teams make the transition from waterfall to agile. How I served as a catalyst is by making sure that the teams, because change is scary, right? When they have been at the role for like 7 years, 8 years, and you bring in a new process and everything starts changing and the role starts changing and no more hierarchy and things like that, some people can get scared. Some people that have been there for a while, and they can be challenging, they can be resistant, and you can't do anything about it because those people have been there for a long time. They know people up higher up. They have a network of people that they have been working with for a long time. So you can't really do anything about it, right? And if you face resistance, everything stops there, right? You can't really move forward with anything because there is resistance from those people. What you do in that situation is that, in my experience, when I faced that resistance, when I was helping my team move from waterfall to agile, what I did in that situation said in their ways, exactly. What I did in that situation was I showcased to them the value that the agile process brings to the table and how it makes their life easier, how it makes their, how it encourages them to participate more, to collaborate more, how it encourages, team participation, how it encourages more happiness, less work for the team members, but more work in a very collaborative way, working together, and how it helps them. Showcase to them the value the agile process brings to them and their role, and how they are safe in the agile process, and how it helps their personal growth, how they can become cross-functional and learn multiple skills and become better, right? So how you will lead teams from a certain mindset to other mindset always is by, how you will answer this question always is by showcasing to them the value, laying on a piece of paper, having a certain ceremony, maybe in the retrospective ceremony or something, on a piece of paper. This is what we are doing right now. This is what we are planning to do. This is what agile, and what's the difference, the value that the difference brings to them. That's how you showcase to them and kind of lead them to what you are trying to build them to. Okay, so that's how I would answer this question, that by basically showcasing to them the value of agile and how it's better and how it helps them and in their role by helping them become better, how it benefits them and the team as a whole. Yeah, will bring trust and strength. Yep. And be ready to face resistance. Be ready to face a lot of resistance when you are trying to implement change in organizations, because some people are set in their ways and it's very hard to kind of change that mindset from a certain mindset to a different mindset. Be ready to face a lot of resistance. And when they ask you in an interview, you can say that, I tackle the resistance by showcasing them the value that the new process brings to the table. That's simple. So that was the other question she was asked. Then other question she was asked is, how have you done transformations for a team? She didn't say anything. She gave no example, and she didn't give. She just froze over here. How have you done transformations for a team? So same thing. Basically, what is a transforming is they are transferring from waterfall to agile. How do you do transformation is by basically leveraging the scrum. Instead of freezing over here and not saying anything, she just shot herself in the foot. Whenever you freeze, whenever you are confused, what do you go back to? The Scrum empirical process. You leverage the power of the Scrum empirical process to bring about change, to bring about transformation in any team, in any organization as a Scrum Master. So she was confused over here. What she could do was she could go back, she could say, I use the leverage and the power of the Scrum empirical process to help my team with transforming from waterfall to agile. I implemented the daily Scrum call. And by facilitating the daily Scrum call, by being with the team and showcasing to them the value that the daily Scrum call is bringing every day, where we are discussing things on a daily basis and more collaboration is happening, more transparency about what everyone is doing, more discussions about any blockers, any risks that might come up. These are the values that this call brings to the team. Then showcasing to them the value of a different ceremony, different ceremony, different ceremony. Showcasing to them the value of every ceremony is how you lead transformations within a team, right? That's how she should have answered it instead of no example and freezing up. Okay. The next question she was asked is, okay, talk to me about a time in the past when you had to make a decision where you didn't have anybody else involved, and you had to make a decision on your own. What decision did you make? How did it impact the team? Talk to me about that situation. So yeah, so here she said that what I have done in the past is that, in one of the situations where we were planning to have a release and we were unable to, our team was unable to reach up from my understanding of my team capacity and team performance, domain developers, we were not in the sprint at that time and they were out of office, and we will not be able to reach our sprint goal, and just thus we will not be able to reach our delivery for all this bullshit. So what she basically gave a okay answer. It was not a great answer. She could have done better. So how did you make a decision where you have to make a decision on your own? How I would answer this question is that, first of all, as a Scrum Master, it is my role to make sure that I facilitate discussions where the team can make a discussion on their own. A self-organizing team, a cross-functional team can make their decisions on their own. That's my responsibility as Scrum Master. It's basically an influencer, right? So in my situation, what I did was, when I had to make a decision on my own, was that in a situation where the product owner ended up leaving the team and we were left without a product owner and not a healthy backlog or not enough backlog for the next 3 sprints. In that situation, what I did was I basically took on the responsibility of the product owner, and I, sat down with my tech lead and my technical team, and we broke down and we refined and estimated the backlog and broke down the epics into user stories. And once we had enough user stories laid out for our next sprint, we came together, we agreed on a sprint goal, we built out a backlog for the next 2 sprints, and we kind of went from there. This is one of the decisions that I made on my own, where I served in the role of a product owner when the product owner ended up leaving, and we ended up doing the backlog refinement session on our own. Now the next question is, how did it impact the team? How it impacted the team is because instead of getting stuck without enough backlog, instead of getting stuck without no stakeholder information, without no stakeholder feedback coming in, I took the role of a product owner along with being a Scrum Master and kind of worked with the stakeholder, took their feedback, kind of worked with the team to give their feedback to them, and kind of kept the process moving instead of just stopping completely until we hired a new person, right? That's how it impacted the team. We were able to keep the work going, and we were able to provide value to the business on a regular cadence. Talk to me about that situation. Yeah, this is basically one example she could have given here. This is basically what she could have said. So, anybody else involved and you have to make a decision on your own. If you get stuck in any question, as I said, if you get stuck in anything, always go back to the basics, the Scrum empirical process, okay? Now, the next question she got asked is, and these questions will, I have about 10 questions here. I mean, it was a 30-minute interview. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat as well. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys might have, while I'm live here and while I'm on the call here. Any questions that you guys might have, feel free to answer them in the chat. Let me see what these guys are saying. Okay, I shared with them the link already. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat as well. Okay, the next question is, and after this question, I'll discuss some points that you can take as a new person who's trying to look for a Scrum Master job and doesn't have any experience or things like that, and how you can navigate the market and how you can get started based on my experience. What I've learned from my experience. In the past. Okay, so now the next question is, how have you delivered results in the past with your team? What kind of results did you deliver with your team? How have you delivered results in the past with your team, and what kind of results have you delivered with your team? So basically, this girl again went back, what is the biggest challenge faced in team conflict, how you overcome? Okay, let's answer this question first. What is the biggest challenge faced in team conflict, how you overcome? So the biggest challenge that you can face in it is that the question that you guys are, the biggest challenge that you can face in a team conflict is basically the mindset of people. Some people, they just don't like, some people, they just don't like the agile process and the agile ceremonies and the scrum ceremonies. They don't like the ceremonies and they don't want to be part of the ceremonies. That is one of the biggest conflict. That is one of the biggest challenge that you can face in a team conflict, right? And the biggest challenge you face is mindset. How do you change the mindset? You change the mindset by showing empathy towards the other person, where he or she is coming from, and by showing empathy towards that person and their understanding of what they are thinking and how they are thinking. By showing empathy towards that, number one, you show empathy towards, you try to understand where that person is coming from. The other thing is that you showcase where you are coming from and what you are trying to say and how it adds value to the whole team, how you are trying to do things for the whole team, and how what you are trying to implement and what you are trying to build and what you're trying to make change is how it impacts the whole team and that person individually, and how it helps that person. That's how you can tackle this question. And how you overcome is that by showcasing you empathy towards that person, and also showcasing your side, where you are coming from, and how what you are thinking and how you are thinking in team terms, right? You are thinking the benefit of the whole team, and what you are doing, how it benefits the whole team, how the scrum process, the daily scrum call, how it benefits the whole team, how it brings transparency, how it brings out blockers on a daily basis, and why it's important. So the biggest challenge that you will face from the team in team conflict is going to be mindset and resistance. People are resistant to join the daily scrum call. People are resistant to join the retrospective. That will be your biggest challenge that you will face in teams, right? The other conflicts that might happen within the teams are like, two team members fighting with each other. That's simple. You have one-on-one with them, show empathy towards where they're coming from, show empathy towards that person, show empathy towards that person, try to bring them together on the same page, try to showcase to them what you're trying to achieve here, what's the sprint goal, which is the most important thing, nothing personal, try to bring them on the same page and kind of handle that situation that way. But the mindset is going to be the biggest, the resistance and the mindset. How can you answer the tell me about yourself to an interviewer? Yeah. So basically, the tell me about yourself is the most important question of any interview. The first 3 minutes of the interview decide the course of the interview. Okay, if you can tackle the first 3 minutes of the interview strongly, you can tackle the whole interview easily, right? The first 3 minutes of the interview decide the whole course of the interview. But what I mean by the first 3 minutes of the interview is that during the first 3 minutes of the interviewer is trying to judge you, who you are, what you have done, where you come from, what's your background like, what you do on a daily basis, right? They're trying to judge you. If during the first 3 minutes you say something that raises their red flags, or you do something that raises their red flag, what do you do then? Then you're stuck. Then they will see a red flag in everything you do. The first impression is very, very important. So how you answer the tell me about yourself is that you first of all start by, my name is this, I started my journey here, I did this over here, I added this kind. You are showcasing how you have added value to every project that you worked. Number one, what did you do in this project? How did you add value here? What did you do here? How did you add value here? What did you do here? How did you add value here? What are you doing right now? How are you adding value right now to your team? What are you doing on a daily basis? Okay, they have to understand who you are, what you have done, and what you are doing right now on a daily basis, and how you are adding value on a daily basis. But while you are answering these questions, not only are you explaining to them what you have done on a daily basis or what you have added values in the past, they are also judging your terminology. They are also judging your speaking skills. They are also judging your the way you explain things. They are also judging your language. Are you a tech person? They are also judging how sophisticated you are, right? There are a lot of things in view over here, right? For example, let's say there is a pin, like a wall pin. I can throw the pin at you, it won't hurt you. I can pull the pin with a stick and I can poke it through your heart. That's the power of explaining things. That's the power of saying things, right? When you say things a certain way, when you say things with a certain terminology, you can poke those things, you can put those things in a certain person's brain and you can impress the certain person. One person might have the same amount of knowledge as the other person. One person might be fucking masters or whatever, right? And the other person doesn't have anything. But the way he speaks, the way he or she speaks, and the way he or she talks, they cause an impact on the interviewer, right? How do you cause an impact? By showcasing your terminology, showcasing your skills, showcasing what you have done in the past, showcasing what you are doing right now, giving them an understanding of what you're doing right now. If they can understand all these things clearly from your explanation, with your understanding of your terminology, proper explanation and everything, rest of the interview will be very easy because the red flags are down, they trust you, you are in the door, you are good to go. So that's how you answer the question. Tell me about yourself to an interviewer. Very important question. The first question is the most important, and the last question as well. When you end the interview, always end the interview on the interviewer talking about themselves. We are selfish creatures. Okay. When you end the interview, you shouldn't end the interview on, okay, yeah, this is what you do. Blah, blah. No, end the interview on the person talking about themselves. Tell me about yourself, sir. What have you done in the past? What's your journey been like? How did you end up in your current role? Talk to me about yourself. They have to be talking about themselves when you end the interview. We are selfish creatures. They will always remember you. You ask them about their journey, okay? They will always remember you, okay? So first answer, tell me about yourself, is very important. Last question that you ask them about themselves, and you leave the interview talking about themselves, them talking about themselves, and that's how you leave the interview. It'll be a very strong interview, even if you make mistakes, because you caused a permanent like impression in their brain that cannot be exchanged. And this is from I have interviewed hundreds of people, and this is from my experience. The people that ask me about me, those are the people I remember the most. I'm a human, right? We are selfish creatures. The people that ask me about me, those are the people I remember the most. Just my 2 cents. All right, resistance is big and change, they don't like it. Yes, exactly. Especially the people that have been there for a very long time. Can you please summarize how to handle a resistance team? So, first of all, you have to analyze, why is your team resistant? There can be multiple reasons. Either they don't respect you, either there is lack in you. You are not doing the ceremonies properly, or you are not doing things properly. You are not confident enough, where they feel like the need to respect you or be influenced by you, right? Because a Scrum Master role is a non-technical role. So to become a good Scrum Master, you need to gain respect from the team. How you gain respect from the team is by making yourself valuable in some type of way to the team, by showcasing your value to the team, right? How do you showcase your value to the team? Is by the Scrum empirical process, right? How do you do the Scrum empirical process? Is by making sure that whenever we are in the Scrum empirical process, whenever we are doing certain ceremonies, there is a clear-cut definition of what we are going to do. It's on point. What value the team is going to get. For example, let's say you are doing the retrospective. You do the retrospective, you discuss certain things. This is what we're going to improve. This is what is going to happen. Da, 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 da. Retrospective is done. You forget about it. That's what most Scrum Masters do anyway, right? But this is one. This person, the team will notice, hey, we discussed this in the retrospective. This guy didn't implement that. The second time you do a retrospective, the team discuss, hey, this is how we're going to improve. Okay. As soon as the retrospective is about to end, guys, this is what we discussed today. These are the things that we are going to improve in our team. These are the people accountable, and I'll make sure this happens. Then over the week, you make sure that that thing gets implemented. So respect is, earned. It cannot be given to you just because you're a Scrum Master, right? So How do you handle a resistance team? First of all, they have to respect you. They have to respect your confidence. They have to respect you as a scrum master, as a person in general. How do you get respect? By being confident. We are humans are naturally trained to respect confident people, to respect strong people, right? So you become strong, you act strong. You showcase confidence, and that's how you handle. Okay, someone is asking me a question on WhatsApp. Okay, that's how you handle a resistant team, by getting their respect, by showing them the value that you are trying to bring to the table. Let me ask you a question, right? So let's say you are a person, you are about to give me a value of $3,000. You're about to give me a suggestion about my business that will, like, give me $3,000 today. Will I not respect you? I'll respect you no matter what. I'll respect you. That's the thing. They have to see value in you. They have to see value in what you are trying to bring to them. What is it that you do? How is it that you do that uh, ends up helping them? So they have to respect you, basically. That's how you handle a resistant team. And it's a slow process, but it's a continuous process. We can only try our best. If it continues, you go to the tech lead or their manager to discuss bigger issues. Yeah, you can escalate as well, but try to get things done on your own. That's why they hired you, right? Try to get things done on their own. Try to have one-on-one with the team members that are giving resistance. Try to understand where they're coming from. Try to understand their issues. Try to show empathy towards their cause. Try to explain where you are coming from, what you are trying to implement, what you are trying to do, what's your vision like, and maybe come towards a common page, and then go that way. You can get, there is a saying, what do they say, there, you can kill a lot of bees with honey than with a stick, right? So try to do it that way. One person keep avoiding daily scrum, how you handle it. So if the person is avoiding daily scrum on a daily basis, then you need to have a one-on-one with that person. What's the reason they're avoiding it? Maybe their time doesn't fit. Maybe they have to go pick up their kids. Maybe something else is happening. You have to understand why they are avoiding it. Have a one-on-one with that person. Have a chat with that. Hey, person, chat him in your team chat, whatever you're using, right? Hey, what's going on in Slack or whatever? Hey, what's going on? Why are we avoiding daily scrum? What's the reason? Maybe they have something going on, right? Try to understand that. What is the reason they are avoiding it? And then try to explain to them why it's important to kind of join the call, and how it adds value. Okay, so if it continues to go to the, okay, Mahesh, do a one-on-one session to see the reason why they are missing, and let them know there is not I in team, and how important they are to be a part of something great to deliver a good project. Yes, exactly, very good. How it benefits them and the whole team, because they may be the only one that knows an answer that is needed for something to, exactly. Amy, you hit the nail on the head. Very good. Proud of you, Amy. Thanks, Amy. All right. Ayoin Aladdin. What's up, my man? What's up, man? What's popping, man? What's cool, man? Amy, just ask them example of what at the end, please. Just ask them example of what at the end, please. End of the interview meaning. What at the end, please? What is your least or favorite Scrum ceremonies? Which of the ceremony will you eliminate? So in this question, what is, Amy, I didn't understand the point, end of the interview meaning, what example, what are the end, please, things like that. So I didn't understand, that thing, maybe, so what is your least favorite Scrum ceremonies? So if I was to eliminate one ceremony, depending on the maturity of my team, I will eliminate the daily scrum call some days in the week. If my team is mature, they are at a level where they're able to resolve their problems on their own, they're able to do things on their own, they're able to handle their things on their own, then in that situation, maybe we might not need the daily scrum call on a daily basis for very mature teams. We can have it on a 3 times a week, 2 times a week basis, but maybe we can get rid of a daily scrum call on the Friday. So it's not about being a least or most favorite ceremony, it's about what's important for the team. If something is important for the team, then thing needs to happen. If it's not important for the team, then we can get rid of the daily scrum call if the team is mature enough. How do we do estimation? Why is it important? So how we do estimation is by by giving story points to things. Some teams, they still use hours, but hours are very variable. There are a lot of things that can come in. There's a lot of moving parts. We use story points for estimation. Why we use story points is because story points enhances collaboration. They bring out the level of difficulty, the complexity, the risk, everything that might come up while during the completion of this user story. And that's why we use story points. They are a better metric to track than hours. So that's why we do estimation, and that's why hours are important. So estimation is important because when we are doing story point estimation, number one thing is the whole team is participating. It's a cross-functional team. The people who are doing the development part, they will say something. The estimation part, the people who are doing the testing part, they will say something. Everybody has something to say. So it's a very collaborative environment. There is a lot of clarity on what needs to be done on all sides because everybody's there participating, right? If one person is saying 5, one person is saying 8, there's a 3-point difference. There's a lot of difference, right? There will be discussions happening. Why is there a 3-point difference? So it enhances collaboration. It enhances clarity. When you are going somewhere, when you're going to a destination, if you don't know where you're going, it will take you longer. If you know your destination, if you know your journey, you will go there faster, right? So same thing with this. Estimation brings more clarity, more transparency among the team members, right? We use planning poker. Why we use Fibonacci series. Why we use Fibonacci series for estimation is because, the difference between the numbers is a good amount of difference for us to kind of see that if one number is being chosen over the other, if 5 is being chosen over 8, there is a reason it's being chosen, because a 3-point difference is a lot of difference, right? There is a reason it's being chosen as 8, right? So there's a lot of difference. That gap removes vagueness. That gap gives a reason to the team to discuss things, and that's why we do estimation, and that's why it's important. It brings collaboration, transparency. It gives clarity on the team what they need to do. Not only that, it also it is important because it also makes sure that the team is participating and the teams feel participated. And when they feel participated, they feel more involved, they feel more motivated to do the work. At the end of the interview, you said it's good to ask about them, give an example question of what to ask them to impress. So you can ask them. So wow, that's great. So talk to me about yourself. What's your journey been like? How did you end up to the role you're currently at, and how did you get started? So what's your journey been? Ask them about their journey. And if you are cool with the interview, or if you have been successfully established a good relation during the interview, ask them something personal, where they are from. Maybe something personal might be too much, but something personal as in related to the personal, like where they got their degree from, how did they start their journey. But focus on mostly the professional part, like where they started, how did they end up where they are at, and what's their journey been like, and focus on that. Okay. What if the interviewer asks question about a safe and you don't have certification experience? How do you go about answering the question? So first of all, let me clear one thing about certifications. Professional card. Yeah. Let me clear one thing about certifications. First of all, no matter what, you have Magnum cum laude on your resume. If I'm a business owner and I'm looking to hire you, I need to understand what's your experience with leadership, what's your experience with managing projects, what's your experience as a Scrum Master. I need to understand what you have done in the past. If you cannot crack the interview, no matter if you have Magnum cum laude, if you have SAFe, if you have whatever on your resume, I don't care. You are of no value to me, because you cannot showcase me your value. So as an interviewer, if I'm interviewing a person and one person has freaking Harvard and this and that, and they all the experience, all the certifications, and then the other person might not have as many certifications, might only have a PSM, but the answers are so strong and so good and get into reality, I'm not going to hire this person. I'm going to hire this person, because this person is the one who can give me the value that I need for my team right now. This is the person that's solving a problem for me. So certifications, I recommend that if you are capable enough to crack the interview, once you crack the interview, once you get the job, let the company pay for your certifications. That's the best way to go about it. Yeah, have something like CSM or some, basic level certification, CSPO, or like SSM, say 5 Scrum Master certification. But don't focus too much on certification. Certification do not mean anything. They are waste. They are waste of your time. They are waste of your money. Okay. Get the certifications when you get the job. Focus on getting experience. Focus on learning the skill. Once you have the skill, you can crack the interview. You can do the job in yourself. You're confident enough. You don't need a certification. Certifications only teach you theory. They don't teach you practical experience, right? So if they are asking question about SAFe, you need to know SAFe. You need to understand about SAFe. You need to learn about SAFe. How you learn? You basically join a mentorship program like mine, and you learn there. Or you join a course or something like that. How do you learn? What else are you going to say? You have to learn things. You have to learn. That's how you can answer them. Certifications don't give you jack dunley. Certifications only teach you theory. That theory can only go so far. Unless you have practical experience in today's market, you know the role of a product owner, you know the role of a Scrum Master, you cannot get a Scrum Master job in this market. Okay, that's what we are seeing out there. If you do, a lot of questions that are being asked, as I said before, they are being asked for product owner, delivery manager, scrum master. They are asked all around for a scrum master role. If you do not have experience, real time experience, you cannot answer these questions. And that's why I always say that if you are looking for a scrum master job, you need to, it's a leadership role. You need to have experience. If you don't have experience, then you need to get in touch with people like me, whose mentorship group you can join and you can learn from me, right? You can learn from me on a live project by becoming a scrum master and a product owner. That's the only way. There is no shortcut. You have to work hard. There are no shortcuts. If you're looking for shortcuts, if you're looking for a cheap way out or, shortcut way out, I don't know. I can't help you. Okay. But that's a good question, Jo. That's a very good question. If they ask about SAFe, you have to know about SAFe, you have to learn about SAFe, and you have to get a certification. I don't recommend certifications, but if you have to do it, then whatever is good for you. But you have to know, you have to learn, you have to understand the process of SAFe so that you can explain it to the interviewer how you added value in the past and how you are adding value currently. Yeah. One story taking 14 hours to complete, the team person is saying this, and we completed 70%, and due to this user story, we can't complete the project goal. How you handle the situation? One story taking 14 hours to complete, the team person is saying this is, and we completed 70%. So I think what he's saying is basically he completed 70% of one user story, which was taking 14 hours. And due to this user story, we can't complete, the project goal is not being able to reach. How do you handle this situation? So basically it's going to be rolled over. And when something is taking 14 hours, that's a long amount of time, okay, but he's estimating in hours. So if it's being done 70% and the project is not, we are not able to reach the project goal, what are you going to do about it? First of all, you need to figure out, why did it take so long? Where were you wrong? Were you wrong in the estimation? Were you wrong in the projections that you gave to the business, that this is by what time you will be able to complete it? You were wrong somewhere, you made a mistake somewhere. What was that mistake? That's what you need to realize for the next time. For now, roll it over and just keep working on it. I mean, what else can you do? Deliver what you have, deliver whatever you have in hand, deliver it to the business, deliver some working prototype to the business so that they are happy, explain to them what happened. And then, next time onwards, get better at your projections. Whatever you made a mistake, learn from it and get better next time. Project goal means sprint goal. I understand. Yeah. So it will be a rollover. Deliver whatever you have, and then next time get better at it. But make sure the 70% you have, I don't know what you mean by 70%. It is tested. Is it working fine? And manual validation done, PO sign-offs done. What do you mean by 70%? I mean, so 70% done, maybe it's tested and manual validation, PO validation, everything is done for that part. And then whatever is left, you roll it over, you do it in the next sprint. Okay, personal, professional, got it. Project goal, yeah. Shortcut way, you will have short career. Yes. What technique do you use to manage risk? To manage risk, there is a framework called ROAM framework. It's called resolved, accepted, owned, and mitigated. And during the PI planning, you will have a ROAM board where you lay out all the risk in a safe environment. During a non-safe environment, you will have kind of like a backlog refinement session where you will lay out all the risk for the team that the team might face on the ROAM board, and you keep it in Confluence, you track it there, and some of the risk you have to resolve, some of the risk you have to own, some of the risk you have to accept, some of the risk you have to mitigate. That's how you use. You can read up more on it. That's how you manage risk. Short. Okay. Is having a project management skills needed? A lot of companies are asking for project management as part of the job requirements for a Scrum Master. So it's definitely not a bad thing to have a project management skill on your resume. Now, market is changing. So companies, they are asking for a lot of things for a lot less amount of money. Before, 6 months, 7 months, you could get a Scrum Master job by just knowing Agile and by just knowing Scrum and, by just having a little bit of experience working in my mentorship and things like that. Now things are completely upside down. So, any skill that you can get, any skill that you can grab, it will help you. Project management, product ownership, Scrum Mastery, delivery manager, release train engineer, any skill that you can get, it'll be helpful for you. And if you join my mentorship group, we cover everything. We cover the whole cycle. You will basically working on the whole cycle, all the way from the beginning, all the way till the end. We cover the whole cycle. You will work in the whole cycle. You will see everything from collecting requirements all the way to the release and managing the release and giving the reports to the stakeholders, to the business and all those things. So, that's how you do it now. It's getting a little bit tricky. So the thing is that, sometimes we get lost too much in analysis paralysis. Sometimes we get lost too much in the wordings, the roles, the things here, project management, this and that, this and that. you know, the the process is very, very simple. The process is that you have to collect requirements, build a product, deliver the product. Now, most of the companies, they are looking for someone to manage this process with the help of a product owner, or without the help of a product owner, the project manager, whatever, right? This is the process. You have to look, you have to become a leader for this project. So, instead of getting lost in all the terminology, and all these names and things like that, you have to understand that you have to learn everything that can be asked from you in covering the project from this end to this end, whether it's capacity management, budget management, everything that you can learn, which is project management, right? Everything that you can learn, you have to learn to get stronger in your role, so that you can showcase your skill to the interviewer when you are interviewing for the role. So whatever you need to do to win, you have to do it, instead of getting stuck in the terminology, which sometimes we have a mistake of. We do it sometimes, we get stuck in the terminology and things like that, which is not a bad thing. It shows you're a smart person. But you know sometimes you have to think from a upper level view of what the business actually wants from me. They want you to kind of handle things on multiple levels nowadays. So if you can handle those things multiple level, no matter how what you learn, you know, winning matters. Nothing else matters. Okay. At my current job, Scrum Master is also a project. Yeah, that's very common. At my current job, is Scrum Master is also a project manager, basically doing both. Okay, we have something in the WhatsApp group also. Uh, okay. Yeah, that's very common. Scrum Master project manager is that's very common. Sometimes they want the Scrum Master to do the project manager responsibility. Sometimes they want the Scrum Master to do product owner responsibility. Sometimes they want the Scrum Master to do release, road map mapping and things like that. Okay, how find right mentor, sir? How to find the right mentor? So let me tell you something. This is the thing. The people that are actually working in the industry, the people like me that have full-time jobs, I'm working as a product owner, right? The people that are working in the industry and that have been working for a very long time, these kind of people, they don't have time. Okay. So who is the right mentor? Right mentor are people who are actually doing this thing hands-on. You can find mentors galore. You can go to YouTube, you can look up, and you can find hundreds of scammers and bullshitters and hundreds of people. But are they the right people? Are they the right people? I don't think so. The right people are very busy, and it's very hard to get access to those right people. It's one in a million opportunity, right? I'm not saying I'm the right person. I'm here for the time being. I'm doing it while I have time. I have, $33.5 million worth of real estate to manage. I have a full-time job to look after. So I have a lot of things on my plate always. I'm here for now. I might not be here in 1 year from now when I have too much on my plate. But, finding the right people, finding good people in this day and age is very hard. And if you find the right people, you have to make sure that you squeeze all you can and you learn all you can, because good people are dime a dozen. It's very hard to find good people in this market. You open up YouTube, you will find a lot of people that are giving you certifications, selling you things for 3,000, 5,000, 20,000. These are teethless scammers. Okay, these guys, they are freaking scammers. They're scamming people left and right. There are guys in my group, there are people in my group, at least 30% of my group is coming from people like this. They're tired of giving money to these kind of people. They're tired of giving money to these kind of scammers. Someone is charging 5,000, someone is charging 2,000. What are you charging $3,000, $2,000 for? Right? Everything that you need to learn to become a Scrum Master is available online. It's available online. All you have to do is lay out a roadmap, understand the theory, understand the basics, play around with Jira, and get confident and keep applying. You know, uh, so finding the right person is very, very hard, especially in this day and age. Everybody is worried about their bank account. They're not worried about your success. They don't care about you. They don't care about your success. Nobody cares about you. What they care about is you are a product. You are their business. This is their full-time job. They don't have full-time jobs. You are their product. So when you are choosing people from YouTube, there's a guy in my group. His name is Valentine. I've done interviews with videos with him. He's part of this group from other guy. I think he calls himself a doctor or something on YouTube. Guy has been there for 1.5 years. Poor guy, no money to spare. Takes money. Like I can't say. I got an email I think last month from this guy, a 3-page email. I don't know guy or girl. He didn't mention his name or her name. 3-page email. Hey, this is what I've done. I'm so depressed. What should I do? I'm about to quit. I'm about to do this. Listen, man. I'm seeing a lot of things by doing this thing, that teaching and coaching that I'm doing. I'm seeing a lot of things that my mind is blown away by. This is like a vultures feeding on innocent people who work hard to make money, and kind of selling them bullshit, and just keeping them in the loop for 2 years, 3 years, scamming them out of their hard-earned money. It's very hard to see. It's heartbreaking, honestly, but there's only so much I can do. I'm not going to be here forever. I'm not going to be doing this forever. I have other things to take care of. For the time being, I'm here. I'm doing my best to help. I'm not. Honestly, I'm not doing this for the money. If you want to say it, money is good. It helps me. Money is good. I like money. But if I'm doing good someday, somebody will do good to my kids, to my family, to me. It'll come back in many ways. So finding the right guy is very hard. I'm seeing a lot of things out there. A lot of crooked people, scammer, toothless fucking bastards, charging people so much money for the things that you can learn online, selling them this and that, selling them this certification, that, to do this, do that, just keeping people in the loop and taking money from them for years and years, and scamming people and things like that. It's very hard to find good people in this day and age, man. So people are worried about their bank accounts. People are not worried about your success. So be careful. If you want to find a mentor, when you are giving money to a person, when you're giving 10,000, 5,000, whatever the amount you're giving to some person, ask them question. Hey, what you are going to teach me about Scrum, it's available online. It's not rocket science. Companies want to build a product. You come in there, you help the companies build the product, right? What is it that this specific person, this girl or this guy is giving you that's worth $5,000, right? What is it that they're giving you that's worth $5,000? Ask them questions, right? Hey, will you get me a job? What are you putting me on? They're not putting you on a live project like I'm putting on. They're creating a simulation in Jira, and they're putting you with other trainees, and you can do that on your own, right? If you are hard on money. So you need to ask right questions from these scammers that, hey, what are you teaching that's worth $5,000 or seven, whatever they're charging? I don't know. You need to ask these questions from these guys, man. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's very hard to find good people. But if you want to, do it on your own, there is a channel that I watched when I was first starting out. It's called Career Stock. And I have no relation to the guy. I did an interview with him. I have no friendship, no nothing like that. It's, I would talk and things like that. But it helped me out a lot when I was starting out. Career Stock helped me out a lot. Then Miro is a tool that I use to kind of see the PI planning structure, kind of read up about PI plannings when I started. And, when I was learning about SAFe on my own. And then, YouTube videos helped me out a lot. Jira, playing around with Jira on my own, reaching out to people on LinkedIn helped me out a lot. So those are the things that you can do, to kind of like, find the right people. But it's very hard to find good people out there, man. And if you find a good person, he or she is very busy with their job and their life, because when you are in tech and you have been working in tech for a certain amount of time, you have a certain, lifestyle. You have a certain kind of mindset that you operate by. You have, you have investment, you have properties, you have your lifestyle, you're busy with your own things. You might not have time, So it's very hard to find good people. Scammers, they're out there. Find them hundreds. Go to YouTube, look, you will find hundreds. Mahesh says, Scrum Master is one of the services to serve the organization. What way can he, she help the organization? So Scrum Master is basically a leadership role. One of the main ways he or she can help the organization is by making the teams better, making the teams more efficient. How do you make the teams more efficient? By using a Scrum empirical process. What do you mean by making the teams more efficient? If the team is delivering in a year $17 million worth of value to the business, you come in as a Scrum Master, you improve the process, you improve the malfunctions, you make the team more mature, you improve the process. This year they will deliver $35 million worth of value. That's your role as a Scrum Master. This is how you serve the organization, by making the team more mature, more efficient, more collaborative, improving the turnover ratio, employee turnover. When people leave a company, this is the biggest expense. To hire and onboard people is cost $60,000 for one employee in America. Okay, so when people leave the company, it's a very big expense for the companies. So when you join a new company, your goal should be reduce the turnover ratio, improve sustainability, less people leaving the organization, more people working together. So these are some of the things that you can do to kind of improve the teams and make the teams better, which improve the productivity to the business and the organization as a whole, and which it gives value to the organization. Chetan is a mentor. Thank you. Can they do both? Project manager use the waterfall approach and Scrum is Agile? How? No, there is Agile project managers also. There is Agile project managers also. I showed a book. Watch my video. It's called "What are the 5 best books to read for Scrum Masters?" I showed Agile project management. So there are Agile project managers also, and Scrum is Agile. Yeah. How can it? There are no two different principles. It's one and the same thing, and it's more or less going to become one and the same thing sooner or later. Okay. I want to connect with you personally. How to do that for mentoring session and training for new Scrum Master? Yeah, sure. You can, send me an email. I'll drop my email in here. You can send me an email. We can set something up. Okay, I'm Shaffer. No one is going to give you a job. Promise you have to put the yes, you have to put the work in. I cannot sit here and tell you you join my mentorship and I'll get you a job. Nobody can do that for you. That's why I said when you pay people a lot of money, when you pay people $7,000, $10,000, ask them the question, or 5,000, whatever you're paying, ask them the question. What are you doing for me that I cannot do online, that I cannot do on my own? Certifications are bullshit. You don't need certifications. What you need is you need to crack the interview. So you need to ask the right questions from these people that are scamming you and that are asking you so much money for something that you can learn online, right? So you have to put the work in. The work has to be done by you, and it's a lot of work. If you expect a very high amount of result, you have to put a lot of work. That's the main principle. No matter how much money you spend $100,000 on learning, you have to put the work in. Work cannot be kind of discounted for anything else. Money cannot discount the hard work. Hard work is hard work. You have to do it. So, give a promise. What are the ways for Scrum Master to be a great servant leader? Servant leader, I think the term they took out the servant leader term from the Scrum Guide, from what I understand. But some of the ways to become a great servant leader is by being a great facilitator, by leading the team, by being an influencer on the team rather than being a dictator. What is a dictator? You tell the team, hey, do this, do this, do this, like a project manager. But servant leader is basically, influencer. You influence the team. You collaborate. You bring up discussion points during the team topic discussions where the team come up with solutions. During the retrospective, you bring up points where the team discuss their points and they come up with solutions. You are an influencer, you're a facilitator. That's how you become a great servant leader, by being a great facilitator, by helping the team make their own decisions on their own instead of you being someone who makes the decisions for them. What are best ways to negotiate your pay as a Scrum Master? Most of the question being what is the question being asked in the interview? How much money do you want? How much money do you want to make? Yeah. So it depends on. Yeah, it depends on your experience. So if you have like 6 years of experience, you can go with 100,000, a little over 100,000. If you are a product owner, you can go for 150, 160. If you are a product owner like me who has 8, 9 years of experience, you can go for 200, 250. It really depends. But the best way to negotiate your pay is by, first of all, you have to showcase your skills, how good you are. If you are a really good person, if you are a really strong Scrum Master, if you are a really strong you're answering the questions perfectly well and things like that, then you can easily ask for over 100K. Using persuasion instead of authority. Yes, using persuasion. Yep, persuasion is a skill that you need to use. All right, looks like that's about it. If we have any more questions, feel free to ask them. We can answer those questions right now. We can answer those questions right here. Any other questions that you might have from me? And, any other questions that you might have? If not, we can call it a night. Thank you so much for joining the live stream. Hopefully you guys learned something and got some value out of it. Guys, if you are someone who has been trying to get a Scrum Master role and you have been, thanks for your time. All this is amazing. Thank you so much, Simply Kim. You have been, struggling, and you have been falling down, and you have been trying for quite some time. You have been paying some people. You have been doing some things here and there. You have been doing your best to kind of get the job. One of the things I will tell you is that there is a need for leaders in this country. Okay, there is a need for leaders in this country. We need leaders in companies, in organizations that have an agile mindset, that follow the agile approach, that understand the agile approach of doing things on a very deeper level. There is a need for those people. Now, temporarily, the market is kind of in a tight situation. Temporarily, maybe 6 months, 5 months, 4 months, things are a little bit tough. But going forward, if you are someone who has been struggling, doesn't mean that you should give up. Okay, don't give up, guys. This is temporary. Everything that's happening in the market, all these things are temporary. Keep learning, keep investing in yourself. The best investment you can make is investing in yourself. Keep learning, keep investing in yourself. Giving up should not be an option. If you're going on this way, we need more leaders. We need more leaders who can think with the agile mindset, who can think with these kind of things. Okay, if you have spent money on learning, take it as a learning experience. Even if you have been scammed by these scammers calling themselves whatever, right? Freaking bullshit, right? Whatever, take it as a learning experience. Okay, and move on your journey. Your journey is not to be stuck in their groups. Your journey is not to, send me emails and be depressed. And I don't say sending me emails when you're depressed and you're, feeling like doing something. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Do that, please. I will listen and I'll help you to my best of my ability, and I did. But the thing is that do not give up. This is a learning experience. Okay, when you have to climb on top of the mountain, you just don't get there by just somebody, you pay someone and they just drop you there. It doesn't happen like that. You have to do the right thing the right way, go up step by step, and eventually you get there, right? Same thing over here, right, guys? Giving up is not an option. You should not be thinking about giving up. We need leaders. We need leaders who think agile, in agile, with an agile mindset and agile kind of way. Okay, and let me tell you, if you are someone who is struggling, and if you are, especially, if you're a woman, who comes from, one of these minority communities from my country or from Africa or wherever you are from. If you're a woman who comes from a different country, English is not your first language, maybe, you're going through a tough time or whatever, right? Just let me give you an idea. There are not enough women leaders from our communities or from my community or from Africa in this tech world. We need more voice from these kind of people. We need more leaders from this kind of people. So if you are a person who has this kind of voice, who is from these kind of communities, who understands and who speaks properly and proficiently, there is a need for you in this country. And if this country is all we got, we cannot do any better than this. If we cannot make it here, we cannot make it anywhere. So all your insecurities about your language, about your culture, wherever you come, whatever, right? This is the time to drop all those insecurity and go run at things. We need more voices from communities in the tech world, in the leadership role. Things are very, very, there are women leaders, no, don't get me wrong, but are they from my community or from Africa? There is not that much of that. We need more people, if you get what I'm saying. We need more people, more voices from these kind of communities, these kind of people who maybe English is not their first language, maybe they're struggling. Read about the books. Read the books. The books are here. You can read all the books you want. That will improve your English. Listen to English podcasts, to start practicing in your house or whatever you have to do, right? But there is a need for leaders in the tech world that are from this from a different kind of world, instead of one single level of thinking or single level of focus. So read between the lines what I'm trying to say. But we need more people who think like that. There is not enough people. There are a lot of voices. There's a lot of voice. Oh, this we are doing this. In reality, there is not. The reality is completely different from the noise that's outgoing. That woman, this woman. The reality is completely different. There is not enough things from the communities that there should be voices from. And the people that are learning, the people that are my students, the people that are my groups, and the people they are all from these kind of communities. But the reality is completely different. So, I think, we need to work on ourselves, improve our insecurities, read more, learn more, get better, invest in ourselves. No, don't be scared of investing in yourself. Don't be scared of investing money into yourself, into your own learning. It'll make you better in some way, shape, or form. So, so those are the things that's my viewpoint. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. Please forgive me if I'm wrong. Okay. What are the best ways to negotiate your pay? Okay. Using persuasion. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, Chetan. Thank you. Do you recommend getting a CSM, PSM, also a SAFe certification? Get a CSM and get a SSM. That's about it. Forget everything else if you're starting out. If you don't get a CSM, get a PSM. Focus not on certification. Certifications won't give you anything. Focus on getting the interview practice. Focus on learning the skills. Focus on getting the practical experience that you can only get with real people. Okay, use the time to learn right now and keep going. Exactly, Amy. You're the best, Chetan. You're an example of great servant leader. Love all your videos and inspiration. Thank you so much, Jo. Chetan is straightforward. Love it. Start using principles at home and at work. Thank you. I want to be the next leader. Let's do it. Exactly. Diversity is good. PSM is better. Amy, you're a rock star. All right, guys. That's my wonderful. Those are the people from my mentorship group. I love them, and they're all. It's amazing. It's amazing community that I've been able to get together with, and I've been able to connect with people in my mentorship group, that I've been able to work with people. And if you're part of my mentorship group, or if you're a part of some anything, you're learning, right? This is a journey. Just because you couldn't make it today doesn't mean you can't make it next week, doesn't mean you can make it next month. Giving up should not be an option. This is a long process. Okay, even if you're part of, no matter what, no matter how much giving up is not an option. This is a very long journey, and you have to be ready, and you have to kind of never give up and keep on going. That's my 2 cents. If you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling down, giving up should not be an option. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If that's it for today's podcast, thank you so much for joining. People from my mentorship group, all the lovely souls, and I love you, everyone. We are one big group from all over the Swami Valley. Thank you so much. Yes, love all of them, and thank you so much, guys. CJ is here as well. Well said, Chaitan. Thank you, CJ. Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. Awesome, and I'll see you guys next time. QP Moore. QP is a rock star. Thank you, guys, so much. Bye bye.